Daniel does get a lot of his levels and tones when we're doing our monitor check. Pretty much we always do that in order. And I think, Daniel, you probably get a lot of your gains and stuff at that point, right?
Yeah, actually most of the time if we have a monitor engineer on stage, they'll run the show kind of because it just makes more sense. He's up there next to the band. Usually they have microphones, they're talking to each other. So the monitor guy kind of runs that and runs through everything. And I'll try to kind of hang back and just follow along and make sure I'm getting everything as quick as I can. And if I miss something because I'm distracted or just don't have time to get to it, then I'll talk to him. I'll try to have a talkback mic. That's another really important thing, I think, is if you have to have a talkback mic, you have to be able to communicate. Like in this room, it's not that bad. Like we can yell back and forth at each other, but if you're in a big church in the back of the room, you can't communicate unless you have a microphone that they can hear in their in-ears or in the wedges or whatever you're using.
One time I got in trouble from the leader because there wasn't a talkback mic, and me and the sound guy were yelling at each other. And afterwards, she came up to me. She's like, "Wow, your attitude sucked today. Like, you do not get to talk to our crew like that." I'm like, "Well, he couldn't hear me." I'm not mad at him. It's funny.
That's funny. It's like that is such a practical tip, because if there's tension between the tech team and the band, it's not going to help if your way of communicating is yelling at each other. So, that's great.
And it was ironic too, because this is years ago, 5-6 years ago, and I was like, the sound guy is one of my best friends, so I was just like, I'm not mad at him, I'm just yelling at him.
That's great.
Hey, Will, to interject about the sound check thing again, what's a huge time saver? We had a guy come on the road with us who was probably the first stellar monitor guy we've worked with, and the main difference he made was the first time we were there, all of a sudden he grabs the mic and starts doing something really simple. He says, "Okay, we have kick coming to Josh. Okay, kick coming to Brandon. Kick coming to Ian." And someone running that process of saying what's going on, even if the monitors are done off of a digital console on your phone or something like that, the idea of having someone saying, "Here's what we're doing now," has saved us a ton of time. A ton of time. We went from half of our scheduled, rehearsal or sound check slot being getting tone and getting our ears set to really easily. And I've always been annoyed by it. Maybe it's just me, but the idea of holding your hand up for 15 minutes, wondering if they're going to get to you. Okay, who wants the kick? And I'm like, this guy. It makes it really easy. Someone can just say, if you have a monitor guy or even front of house, if they're running, whoever's running it can say, "Hey, right now I'm doing tom to bass." Okay, cool. Tom coming to guitar. Okay, and it makes it super peaceful, super easy. And no one's stressed. No one feels like their time hasn't. If you're, there's nothing like the anxiety of wondering if you missed your chance to get that guitar turned down.
So,
no, wait.
It helps so much for them to be communicating to you guys. How do you communicate? That's good. I need more. I need less. I'm good.
Up, down. Okay. Left. Right, or you can tap the ear.
Yeah. What do you guys do for monitoring normally? Do you travel with someone that's doing monitors separate? And then if, I'm sure most people here aren't in a situation where they can go hire full-time front of house, full-time monitor engineer. Do you have any suggestions for people that just have one person?
I have a suggestion. This console we're using right now is a great example of something you could do. It's a Yamaha TF1 console. You can kind of do this with just about any Yamaha console, I think, but basically there's a console up there, but there's no one running it. It's just hooked up to a Wi-Fi router, and everyone is doing their own monitor mix on the iPhone, which simplifies everyone's life. Everybody gets exactly what they want without having to ask me to do it when I'm trying to do 100 other things. It's pretty much the greatest thing in the world, and if you can't afford a monitor engineer, or you just don't know one, don't have one, I would definitely recommend getting a console similar to that where you can all do your own thing.
You just have all of your inputs, and you can just scroll through and turn everything up or down, right there. And
the iPad one you can actually EQ on too, right?
yeah, you can do all sorts of processing. This is the first time we've used this, was here yesterday, and so we had sound check yesterday, and it was
Awesome.
It was so fast. We didn't have to communicate to anyone.
It was funny. We were all just silent for a long time.
It was a silent rehearsal.
I was playing games.
And it's also awkward because I think yesterday, right when we played our first song, I had to make a monitor change, and Will's talking, and I'm like on my phone. I'm like, I look like a jerk right now. Like,
I saw you
texting or
like that
whatever.
Instagram picture.
I was making monitor changes.
But there is one downside to that quick sound check. They were all done in 5 minutes, and I hadn't even hardly started. So I was like, no, come on, play a song.